All right. Good morning, everyone. Lovely to see you back in JSP Live, episode 8 with University of Fraser Valley. Today, we're going to have Mr. Derek Wardhall, Regional Manager of the University of the Fraser Valley. Today, we're going to have a lot of information, lots of news, lots of exciting things happening, and we cannot wait. So if you have any questions for Derek and UFE, please put your question in the comments and we go one by one to get back to you. Now over to you, Derek.
Awesome. First off, again, hello. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for taking the time to join us here now. And for those of you who are going to watch this a little bit after, thank you there too for taking the time to watch the recording of this after the fact as well. As you heard, my name is Derek, and I am the Regional Manager of International Student Recruitment at the University of the Fraser Valley. And I'm very happy to be here to join you today to talk about UFE. One thing you should know about me before I get started is I'm a very excited person. As you can see, I got a lot of energy. But the second thing is, and probably more importantly, is I'm actually an alumni from the university. So I have actually graduated from UFE. I have my bachelor's degree in human resource management from UFE. So everything you're about to hear, yes, it comes from a staff perspective and my job as a recruitment manager, but it also comes from my time as a student. So if you do have any questions about student life, that kind of stuff at the end, like you heard, type it into that chat in the comment section. Be more than happy to answer anything you have with you. So with that, let me just share my screen with you here. I'll bring this up and then we can get started.
Yeah, sure. I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right. We
Awesome.
are on screen.
Cool. Well, before I go too far into this, let me give you a very brief introduction into the university. So UFE, the University of the Fraser Valley, we are a public university located just outside of Vancouver, Canada. We've been around since 1974, and we really focus on small class sizes, hands-on career-focused education that are going to help allow our students get jobs after they graduate. And when I say small class sizes, I really mean that. You may have heard that in universities in North America, there's a lot of first-year courses where there might be 100, 200, 300 people per class. We don't do that. For us, our average student class size is 25 students per class. The biggest class size we do is 36 students per class, which gives our students as much one-on-one faculty support as they could possibly ever need. Not only with those small class sizes can they get extra faculty support, it allows them to actually make some friends and meet some people in the classroom and get a chance to get to know their fellow classmates a lot better as they go through their entire degree. We're also known as a medium-sized school. And when I say medium-sized, we have about 14,000 students that attend the university. And out of those 14,000 students, we have about 1,500 international students from all over the world. So it has this fun, vibrant, dynamic atmosphere that combines Canadian students with global international students all on one campus. Now, I mentioned that UFE is just outside of Vancouver. So for those of you who are not familiar with Canadian geography, don't worry, I have my map. here to help you out as well. So the city that we're in is the city of Abbotsford, which is a 1 hour drive outside of downtown Vancouver. So over here, you got a beautiful shot of Vancouver. For those of you who have not ever had a chance to visit and actually travel to Vancouver, I'm not just saying this, I really do mean it. It is one of the most beautiful cities in the world that you'll ever get a chance to visit to as well. And our city of Abbotsford is just a 1 hour drive east out of downtown, which is great for your students. The reason for that is, one, cost of living. We're close to downtown, only an hour away. So if they want to go visit, it's not that hard, but they're outside a bit. So rent's a little bit lower, cost of living's a little bit cheaper for them when they're living in Vancouver. They also get some true, authentic Canadian culture, being a little bit more outside of the downtown core. And lastly, one of the advantages of where we are is actually this dark shaded area that you'll notice here. That is actually the United States. Our campus is only located 5 minutes away from the US border. So if students want to do some fun weekend trips down to the States to go shopping, all that type of stuff, it's really easy because our proximity to the States is, like I said, only 5 minutes away. So just make sure your students have the proper visas and passports in place before they try to cross. We've had that mistake happen once or twice, so just so you know. Last thing about Abbotsford is that when students do come to live with us, we do have a residence building on campus. So if students are interested in living on campus, we have a great residence building where students get their very own private bedroom. And the students, as you can see on the screen there with the layout, they get a private bedroom and they only have to share a suite with one other person. So each suite has 2 private bedrooms. It also has a bathroom with a stand-up shower, and then a little kitchen with a mini fridge and table, chairs, all that kind of stuff. We also have full kitchens in the residence building as well. So students can actually do all of their own cooking and shopping, which allows them to bring down costs even more. But as we're all very much aware of, there are a lot of students who come into university who just don't know how to cook. And so for those students, obviously, we have a meal plan that they can purchase into if they would like to as well. After that, one of the biggest things we always get asked for students who come with us is about career and career aspirations when they come to UFE. Well, I'm very, very proud to say that QS, which is an Australian organization that does a lot of global rankings, they also have their QS Stars program, has rated us a perfect 5 out of 5 star school for the employability of our students after we graduate. Also, wow. The latest data that we have, I know it's pretty good, right?
That's impressive.
It's not bad. We work so hard at trying to make sure that all of our students can graduate with some form of work experience as much as possible. Whether that's co-op, as you're all very familiar of, probably one of the best work experience options students have in Canada. We have a dedicated career center that has co-op coordinators there to try to help students find placements within their field of study. Also, just within Canada as well, students are allowed to work up to 20 hours a week during the school year part-time. So for that, we also have what we call our career coaches who help with resume writing. They do help with cover letter writing, interview skill training. We have a digital job posting board that posts both on-campus and off-campus job opportunities as well. So regardless if students want some formal job experience through co-op, or they're just looking for a part-time job to make some money for rent or just even build up their resume, our career center can help them with either way that way too. Also, as a public university, all of our programs qualify for up to a 3-year post-graduation work permit as well. And we also have an immigration consultant on staff who's here all the time, who does a lot of workshops on work permits, study permits, permanent residency as well, and can help with all of those related questions. All right. Now, with that out of the way, that's the kind of the brief introduction into the university. Let's talk about programs and what we offer for your students. UFE is primarily an undergraduate university. So that's 2-year diplomas or 4-year bachelor's degrees at the undergraduate level. We do have a couple master's degrees and 1 or 2 post-degree certificates and diplomas. But as a whole, we are an undergraduate school. So my first couple slides are going to talk about undergraduate programs, and then my very last slide is going to give you a list of our graduate programs. Now, to start off, we have probably one of our most popular programs that we have globally, which is my former program. This is what I did. This is the School of Business. So we have the 2-year Business Administration Diploma or the 4-year Business degree. Now, students who are doing the 4-year degree have a chance to choose one of their majors, and the majors are listed on the screen that you see there: marketing, finance, HR, international business as well. Now, one of the greatest things I loved about this degree, well, there's a couple things, but one of the biggest things is that the first 2 years of a student's degree, they actually don't have to choose their major. The first 2 years are actually general business. So this allows a student a chance to test out which subjects they might truly like. And they have to then be able to choose a major going into their 3rd year. 3rd year is when they kind of specialize and break off that way. So if a student is unknown, not really sure if they want finance or accounting, or if they want marketing or HR, they don't have to choose right away. They have it to your cushion. Also within the School of Business, all of our professors are either current or former industry professionals. So they're constantly bringing in real world case scenarios into the classroom. So all the theory that you're learning in the textbook, you get to see how it ties in into real world projects, case scenarios that way as well. Last thing I'll say about the business program is if your students are eventually interested in the co-op options, the School of Business is probably one of the best areas that are connected with co-op. Lots of different ways to be able to find some paid internship positions within the School of Business. Moving on, we have the Applied Sciences. So this would be our Bachelor of Science, which has majors in biology, chemistry, physics, computer science, geography, math, and stats. We also have a bachelor's degree in agricultural science or a 2-year agriculture technology diploma. And then we have a Bachelor of Kinesiology, which is our sports science program. And that's a photo that you actually see on the screen there right now. Now, I'm also very proud to say, I'm very proud of the school a lot, you'll find out, that we have one of the most laboratory intensive science programs in British Columbia, which is in our province around here. Now, if you notice, there's a lot of schools, a lot of universities, not just in Canada, but in North America, that science students don't actually have access to laboratories and laboratory experiments until at least their 3rd or 4th year. And that's when they usually get a chance to do some hands-on lab work. With us at UFE, no. We make sure students actually have hands-on laboratory access from their very first week in class. So all of our science students, for their entire bachelor's degree, every time they have a science course, they're going to be in class at least 2 times a week, once for the lecture and once for the lab. So they go lecture, lab, lecture, lab, lecture, lab. So they're always going to do what I personally think is probably the more fun side of science, is the actual hands-on, experiments that you get to do. But not only that, it gets to build up your practical applied skills that you can then eventually be able to transfer into the workforce as well. Also, if you are interested in research, our science program has some of the best undergraduate research options for university students. There's amazing paid research assistant positions you can do, being a research assistant for one of the professors. So lots of different ways that you can actually do your own projects as well within the program. And of course, this also qualifies for co-op if you're interested in that paid work experience. Moving on, we have our Bachelor of Arts program, or the Liberal Arts Diploma, again, 2 years or 4 years. This would be our social sciences and the humanities. As you can see there, lots of different options. I have to put ... and more because I can't fit all the options onto one screen. If your students are looking for a very flexible program where they can combine study disciplines, the Bachelor of Arts is a great way to go to. Students could combine a psychology major with a biology minor, or they could do an economics major with a business minor. There's lots of different ways to mix and match within the arts program. We're also one of the few liberal arts schools in the area that actually have co-op for the social science and humanities students as well. So our arts department works very hard to make sure that our degree students and diploma students, when they leave, have access again to high-level Canadian work experience, But on top of that, that they can actually articulate the skills that they have developed during their degree that is transferable into the workforce as well. So lots of different ways that they can gain that access through the liberal arts diploma. Moving on, we have one of my favorite programs to talk about, but I am horrible at actually doing it. I can't do this stuff, but I love talking about it. And that would be the fine arts, which would be graphic design, media arts, visual arts as well. One of probably the fastest growing programs I saw during the pandemic. I don't know if people were in lockdown and bored and they started drawing and started thinking, oh, I'm really good at this. I should do this as a career, or maybe what it was. But I've seen more applications come in for graphic design, media arts, and visual arts than I think I've ever seen before with international students, which is fantastic. Because one of the things of where we are in Vancouver, or just outside of Vancouver, is we have a world-class reputation for film, television, game design, arts and graphics scene. We are actually outside of Hollywood in Los Angeles, the second largest producer of Hollywood TV and film in the world as we go through there. So there's lots of opportunities for work within the graphic arts, media arts in the Vancouver area. Only thing I'll say about this, the last thing I'll say, is that students are required to submit a portfolio if they want to get into this program. So they would need to submit about 10 to 15 different pieces of artwork if they're interested in getting into this program. Next up, we have the professional studies. So this would be things like computer information systems, IT. So you'll notice we do separate IT from computer science. They are separate programs. Then we have our most unique program, which is aviation, pilot training. So if you do have anybody who's interested in becoming a commercial airline pilot, let us know, because this pilot training program is also combined with either a business diploma or a business degree. So they do both at the same time. And then below that, we actually have our human services programs. So things like early childhood education, social work, community support worker program, child and youth care, and therefore all those other programs that you see in that area. Again, all those programs are either 2 years or 4 years, and also qualify for up to those 3-year work permits also. I got a question that comes in. Maybe I should pause for that question. Let's see what we got. It says, for fine arts students, do they need to provide a portfolio? Great question. Yeah, absolutely they do. Yes. The portfolio has a list of criteria. So if you have students that are interested, or you are a student who's interested, let GSP know, and then I can get you all of that information to them. Essentially, it's about 10 to 15 different pieces of artwork. And within those art pieces, they want to see what's called 3 different mediums, 3 different art forms. So drawing, painting, photography, video, photography, pencil drawing, graphic design, whatever it is, however you want to mix up the different types of art form. They want to just to see 3 different versions of that. Really good question. Thank you very much, Facebook user. I don't know your name, but it's just Facebook user that I can read. So thank you.
All right. I just have a quick question on the aviation part. I'm very interested in aviation program. For the Bachelor of Aviation, like if you want to be a pilot, so at the end of the degree, will the student get the pilot license, like fully commercial pilot license to get a job?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way this works is it's a joint program between us and one of the local flying schools called Coastal Pacific Aviation. They're the ones we work with the most. That's not the only flying school students can use. They could technically go to almost any flying school in Canada, but we have the closest relationship with Coastal Pacific. So by the end of the 4-year degree, what students would graduate with is they would have their full bachelor's degree in business administration aviation. So there's aviation management courses that happen within there. So students don't want to be a pilot eventually. They still have a degree within management that they can go shift into. But more importantly, on the aviation side, what they graduate with is they get first their private pilot's license, then they get their commercial pilot's license, they get a multi-engine rating certificate, and their instrument rating. And then on top of that, they have a choice to do their instructor rating as well, which most students do, because with their instructor rating, what they can actually do is actually work as flight instructors during their final years and helping the first years come up which helps with flight hours as well. So yeah, they graduate fully licensed with all of the tickets and licenses that they need to eventually become commercial airline pilots.
Oh, that's amazing. It's great to know because some of the school, the student had to do the pilot license on the side once they graduate. So this is the full package, which is great for the student to do.
Yeah, it's really good. And we've had this partnership with Coastal Pacific going on 15 years now that we've been doing. So it's fantastic. And they have a really good curriculum set up that if students want to do it simultaneously, it is a lot of work. I mean, if you do it at the same time, I'm not going to lie, there's a lot of work that needs to go on to be able to do the degree and the pilot's license simultaneously, but it can be done if students really want to do it that way.
All right. Thank you for answering my question. It's
you're very welcome.
Great in detail.
All right, next up is the entrance requirements that we'll talk about there. So with the entrance requirements, we split up our entrance requirements in two ways. We have the English requirement, and then we have the program requirement as well. So the English requirement for all of our programs, and this is diplomas, degrees, master's programs, whatever it is, the English requirement is an IELTS score of 6.5 with no band less than 6. And it does have to be no band less than 6. If they're at a 5.5, that won't actually meet the requirement at that point. Now, with that said, this is just an example. It doesn't have to only be IELTS. We also accept Duolingo. We accept TOEFL, CALE, Pearson's, a lot of those tests as well. One more thing I'll say about the English requirement is there are a couple ways for students to be exempt from the submitting an English test. Really, there's two ways. Is one, they do an international curriculum, such as International Baccalaureate, IB. If they have IB English A, they did that. Or if you happen to have some high school students who are already studying here in Canada and they have the equivalent of English 12 with a C+ or higher, they would not need an IELTS test at that point. But otherwise, IELTS is 6.5, no band less than 6, fairly standard across Canadian universities is what we need at that point. After that, we would also then look at what's called the program requirements. Now, each program has slightly different requirements. Most of these are based off of grade 12 academic years. So, for instance, business, the mandatory things we would need is grade 12 math, as well as one academic grade 12 course as well. In terms of grade ranges, what we would need is around a 7.0 to 7.5 out of 10 is kind of the averages that we're looking for. So a 70 to 75% average is what we would need along those lines. And each school, each program, again, is slightly different. So you have business up there. You have the Bachelor of Science, which also has math and science courses. Bachelor of Arts, no math that you notice there. So there are some courses out there that don't require math. If you're not too strong in math, don't worry. There are some flexible ways to get in without math as well. But typically 7.5 to 7 is what we're looking for in terms of averages for our students.
What's the common average that most students will get entered in? Like, is it 6.5 out of 10 or 7 out of 10?
In terms of academic average? Yeah, academic average, I'd say it changes per program. So students only really need to meet the minimum. So I'd say 6.5 out of 10 to, I'd say 6.5 to 7.5, 8 in that range is usually the averages that we will mostly see. When I talk about scholarships, though, that'll change because our scholarship averages are much higher. We'll wait till we get there. But yeah, entrance averages, depending on the program and what it is, typically 6.5 to 7.5, 8 in that realm is usually what it is. But if you're comfortably in that 7.0 area, like I said, 7.0 to 7.5, if you're in there, you'll be fine. Some programs in that 6.5, you can definitely do it as well.
Yeah. Reason why I'm asking is that a lot of our students from Vietnam and the Philippines, 6.5 range to 7.5, most of them are falling into that bracket. So a lot of our students will be more confident after this session.
Oh yeah,
Maybe,
yeah, we
yeah.
can definitely work with that. That is no problem at all. We can absolutely be able to help students who are in that 6.5 to 7.5 range. No problem. Definitely help out.
All right, great to hear. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, moving on to kind of important dates and deadlines. So we are what's known as a tri-semester system. So we have 3 different intakes: fall, winter, and summer. Right now, we're accepting applications for the January intake. It says September 15th on there as a deadline. Because of COVID and lockdowns and everything like that, we've actually extended that to October 15th. So application deadline for January is now October 15th to be able to do that. And then on October 1st, we're opening up also for May 2022 and September 2022 as well. So as of October 1st, technically all 3 semesters will be open for application once we get to that point as well. Before I go along though, I do see a question that says, do you accept the Pearson's test? Yes, we do. We accept Pearson's test as a form of English test. So absolutely, yes. Really good question. Now, moving on to there, how do you apply? Well, obviously, apply through GSP. They'll be able to do this all for you. But
Yes.
in general, how this will work is, obviously choose your program. Make sure to check with GSP and myself that you meet the entrance requirements. After that, GSP will apply for the program for you. Once that application goes in, it takes about 2 to 4 weeks for us to do the first evaluation, is kind of what there would be at that point. Now, within those 2 to 4 weeks, if everything looks great, you're going to get an offer of admissions. Congratulations, you got your offer letter. Now, to accept that offer letter, what you would have to do is then pay a deposit, which is typically your first semester of tuition. Or if you're going to be applying as an SDS visa candidate, which is a Canadian government fast track visa, at that point, you would have to pay 2 semesters of deposit. Just depends on your visa. Once we have your deposit and your official academic documents, that is when we release your LOA, the letter of acceptance, and that is what you need to then apply for your visa and study permit. So how much does it all cost to be able to come here as well? Well, I'm very, very proud to say that we have some of the most affordable tuition for a Canadian university in the country. Per year of study, when you look at tuition and living expenses combined, it's about $30,000 total for tuition and living expenses. Our tuition is the same for every single program, diploma, degree, whether you're doing a CIS program, computers, or a business program or an arts program, it's all the exact same tuition. Per year of study, you're looking at a minimum of about 15,000 Canadian per year and a maximum of about 19,000 Canadian per year. So that is the maximum you'd have to do for tuition. The rest of the items that you see on there, they're mostly budgets. The accommodation is if you want to live on campus. Now, it's not mandatory. You don't have to live on campus if you don't want to. If you have family in the area or if you want to rent a space off campus, totally okay as well. This is just a general budget. But for those students who live on campus or live off campus, this is actually a pretty accurate budget. I would still say budget around 30,000 Canadian dollars per year. Now, one of the last slides I have for you, it's always the best slide to kind of end with, is our scholarships that we do offer. Yes, we do have scholarships. And the biggest,
best for last.
Right, I got to, I don't want to put this out there first. I got to, build up to this that we go through. So yeah, the biggest scholarship that we offer is $20,000. And that is a renewable scholarship of $5,000 per year. In fact, originally pre-COVID, this was only $10,000. And then during COVID, because of the pandemic, we realized there was a lot of students out there who needed a little bit more help. So we increased it, doubled it to $20,000. Now, all of these scholarships are 100% academic scholarships. So there's no additional forms needed. Once you apply for your academic program and submit us your transcripts, you'll automatically be considered for this scholarship, is what you'll have there too. And so it's all based off your grades. So essentially, how we do this is as we gather up everybody's grades and they apply, we start ranking the GPAs. So we start at the very top of the grades list, and then we work our way down until we run out of money for that semester, is essentially how that goes along those lines too. So $20,000 our biggest one, and then we have a bunch of $5,000 one as well. Now, with that said, these are entrance scholarships. Once you become a student at the university, there are a lot of other scholarships for current students who are going into their second year, third year, potentially fourth year as well, that you can apply for. So if you get the scholarship, awesome. If you don't get this one, hey, don't worry. There are potentially other scholarships you can apply for moving forward into the rest of your career or education journey with us at UFE.
Wow, that's great. What's the academic requirements for the 20,000 scholarship? May I ask?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a competitive scholarship. So it does change every year as it comes in. But typically, so last year, we had 3 Vietnamese students win this $20,000 scholarship. Their average was around 9.2 to 9.5 was what their academic average was to get this $20,000 one. Doesn't mean it always is going to be that. It'll depend on everybody who applies for that semester as it goes in. But typically, you're looking in the 90% range when you're getting into the scholarships.
Yeah. Wow. And there's no additional like letter of express interest.
Yeah, no, that's a great question.
scholarship?
Nope, there's no letters, no extra forms. We don't need to look at extracurriculars. This really is an academic scholarship for students there. If they are wanting to look at stuff for extracurriculars, there are some scholarships once they start as a student that will look into extracurricular activity as well. But for this one, 100% based off academics.
Wow, that's amazing. Because falling under the 90%, a lot of our students can achieve that. Like our students really good, and some have like 9.5 GPA. And yeah, obviously they're looking for a little bit of support in terms of tuition fee. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, no, if students are applying with a 9.5, I can never guarantee scholarships. That's not what I can do. But it's pretty close to a guaranteed thing at that point. If you're coming in with a 9.5 from Vietnam.
What is your best piece of advice in terms of applying for this scholarship? Is it like put in your application early or complete your application and
Great question. Apply early. Yeah. So if you're looking to come in for September 2022, I would say apply within the month of October. At least get that application in. Get something started. Get your transcripts to us. Of course, you won't have your term 1 grade 12 marks yet. That's totally okay. But I do recommend to apply earlier because we do try to do this kind of in order of students as they apply, coming in that way to give it up. So the earlier you get that application in, not only is it going to save you time with the visa processing and getting lots of time for that, it'll absolutely give you a better chance at winning the scholarship.
All right. Well, you hear from Derek, guys. Put in your application early. Yeah, that's great. I'm excited for this scholarship because your tuition fees is very affordable, and this is on top of it. So, after like the net tuition fee student have to pay after scholarship is very affordable. It's actually
100%. Absolutely. It like I said, with our tuition fees being one of the most affordable for a university in Canada, you add in, taking off $5,000 per year on top of that. I mean, it's an outstanding value for students.
Yeah. That's great to finally learn more about the scholarship.
I'm done. That's the last thing there for you too. So that's just my name that you have there.
All right. Thank you so much. I think we have a lot of questions here lined up for you already.
Awesome.
We have one question from the Philippines. Year 12 grad from the Philippines can have a direct entry to any of UFE bachelor program?
Yes, absolutely. Year 12 students from the Philippines, you absolutely can have direct entry into our bachelor's programs, just like grade 12 students from Vietnam. Absolutely. Yes, you can.
Right. And also, do you have payment terms for LOA issuance?
Yeah, for sure. So as I mentioned, that would be at least the 1 semester tuition that you would do. So, with the tuition and the student fees, you're looking around $9,500 is what that first semester would be to get your LOA coming in from there. So all of our programs are a semester by semester payment. So you don't have to pay for everything all up front, or you don't have to pay every year for the entire year. You do it on a semester by semester basis.
Okay, that's great. Next question is a student who finished high school in a different state in Canada, like for example, Ontario.
Yep.
Do they need minimum GPA to enroll?
Yeah, great question. So if they're studying in Canada but in a different province, they would have the exact same GPA requirement that they would have here in British Columbia. So the GPA requirement doesn't change if they're in a different province. Just the name of the course is a little different. For instance, here we call our English 12 course English 12. In Ontario, it's called English 4U. Our pre-calculus course in British Columbia is called Pre-calculus 12. In Ontario, it's called like MH4U is the actual name of the course as you go through that way. So exact same GPA requirements, but the name of the courses are slightly different.
Oh, all right. Yeah, thank you.
And same thing, if an international student is studying in Ontario and they take English 4U, which is our grade 12 English equivalent, no IELTS, no Pearson's test, don't need anything.
Wow, that's great. Good to know. I think there's quite a number of students who's doing high school in Canada, and once they graduate, they move on to university.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, no, I have to say that the international students who are already here for high school, they do really well when they transition into university that way too. I mean, don't get me wrong, all international students can do well, really well. But the ones who are already here in high school, yeah, they perform very well.
Yeah, they are. Can students pay in installment? I think it would cover it already.
Yeah, great question. But yeah, I'll just to say again, yeah, technically yes, because you pay by semester, and in between each payment, it's usually about anywhere from 4 to 6 months between the time you have to pay. So you have 4 or 6 months to save and do it that way. Students ask me if they could pay per month, and what I say is, technically, yes, because you have 4 to 6 months to pay. If you want to put a little bit in every month until you get there, I guess, yes, you can. But the bank fees would not be good. I don't recommend doing that month to month because the bank fees might get a little high at that point. But yeah, it's about every 4 to 6 months is when you would need to pay.
All right. Next question. Can students apply for the conditional offer with their semester 1 report, for example?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yeah. In fact, for if you apply in October, which is our starting date for next September, you actually won't even have your term 1 report for grade 12. So we can actually do some conditional offers based off grade 10 and 11 transcripts to start off, and then the moment you have your term 1 report, typically in that January, February, I'd say timeline, then send that to us, and then we can update all your grades there.
All right. Wow, that's very helpful. It's great to have a conditional offer. It's like to have something to look forward to.
Yeah, and like even on the LOA, like we don't expect to have final grades to give you the letter of acceptance. I mean, in Vietnam, by the time you actually get your official final grade transcript, it could be August by the time you actually get your actual official document at that point. So the LOA that we would give, that you can even apply for your visa to, it'll have a little box that says conditions, and that little box will say final grades, and there'll be a little check mark that says final grades there. So no problem.
All right, great. Next question is, how about students who finished high school in the US or Australia? Do they need an IELTS?
Really good question. Very similar to if they're here in Canada. Similar GPA requirements, similar if they do English 12 in the US or Australia, don't need IELTS or TOEFLs or anything like that. So very similar to if they were studying in Canada.
All right. I also have a question about English
Sure.
because you guys accept all sort of English tests from PTA to TOEFL to IELTS. However, if student sort of get an IELTS of 5.0 or 5.5, they just need a little bit of extra help to get to the 6.5. Do we have any pre-sessional English program or
Yeah, for
ESL?
sure. So great question. So yes, we do. We do offer some English upgrading, some pathway options, what we call EAP, English for Academic Purposes, for students who are a little bit low. For us at our university, the lowest we can go would be an IELTS 5.5. So if they have an IELTS 5.5 with no band less than 5, at that point, what we would do is we would put them into a 2-semester upgrading program. The
Yeah.
first semester would be 100% English at that point. That'd be English foundations.
Yeah.
Second semester is different. Second semester would be a bridge. So it'd be a little bit of English and a little bit of university courses at the same time. So they can get a little bit more help with their English and get some university courses for credit there. Then they would go into their program. So typically how we work is if you have an IELTS 6.5, you get direct entry. If you have an IELTS 6, it's 1 semester upgrading. IELTS 5.5, 2 semesters of upgrading we do there. Now, for some of our students who might be a little bit lower than 5.5, you're at the 5 or even a 4.5, or maybe you even are at a 3. Who knows where you're at? At that point, we also work with some fantastic language school partners. One of the biggest ones we work with is ILAC. They're located in downtown Vancouver. And so we work very closely with them to try to help our students. In fact, we literally just had a Vietnamese student join us from ILAC this September.
Oh, great.
They went through the pathway program and are now in our Bachelor of Science doing chemistry that way too. So absolutely, if that's something you would like to explore and learn about that partnership, let us know, let GSP know, and we can definitely help you out with that.
Yeah, thank you. The next question our partner is asking is that, do you accept translation from, if we do it, it's like not notarized.
I understand. Unfortunately, no. We do need a certified English translator, so someone who is actually a certified translator to copy for that part.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much. There's lots of useful information, and I'm really excited about the scholarship. I think a lot of our students very interested at the moment, and they just got their grades. So I think for January, intake's gonna be very helpful to submit application and get their scholarship early.
Awesome. Yeah, please do. And last thing I'll say is, if you have students who maybe wanted to go abroad, but then the pandemic happened, so they started maybe their first year in the Philippines or Vietnam, and they're doing a little bit, and they maybe want to transfer, we could possibly even help with that. So whether they're a direct out of high school student or a potential transfer student, come let us know. We'll see what we can do.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Yeah, I think a lot of students would like to, if they are in their first semester of university in Vietnam or the Philippines, potentially they want to transfer some of the credits so they don't have to do it again in Canada.
Totally.
Yeah. All right. I think that's all the questions from our partners today. And thank you very much for joining us in this live stream. And we wish you good health and hope to see you in Vietnam and the Philippines in near future.
I can't wait to travel again. I used to be in Vietnam and the Philippines 3 times a year at least, and I miss it. I really miss coming out there. So I'm really hoping that 2022, early in 2022, I'll be able to come out and see a lot of you in person. So thank you all for joining this live stream. Once again, hopefully we can do this in person again very, very soon. But until then, I wish you all the best. Everybody stay safe. We'll get through this sooner rather than later. And everybody enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. See you.